Little short intro
there.
What's up, guys and girls
Hey, everyone.
and animals?
And non-binaries.
Non-binary.
I don't want to
No.
be rude on this podcast here.
You're a
We're
non-binary.
inclusive to all.
Inclusive
Everyone's
of all.
allowed to listen to
Does
our
that mean your
podcast.
genome is made of more than zeros and ones?
Yeah, it is. It's made of 4 different components. That's
Four
what your
different.
DNA is.
So we're all non-binary.
Oh, I guess so. Ah.
Well, shit.
Well, we won.
We just solved it.
We fixed it. All right, nothing to argue about anymore on that
Oh,
field.
all
right?
done.
Well, the podcast has started off well. What do you want to talk about today?
Let's just talk. I don't know. Sports are starting up again.
Sports.
Sports are starting up.
Went to the soccer game on Friday.
Soccer game started.
Boys start out the season with that good 3-0.
3-0. Football just started.
We won that game against Florida International University.
It was a quality win right there.
Great start to the season. We got the Notre Dame-Michigan game last night. The end was coming out to be a little exciting, almost a squeaker there. Michigan coming back after Notre Dame up the full game. It was a good one. Always like that. Used to be a big college football fan. I still like to watch it. There's just it seems like there's a stigma around football these days where you don't really talk about it too much anymore. It's kind of weird.
CT.
CT.
It's kind of hard to get behind football, like, keeping that in mind.
Yeah, completely.
Like, being at such, I don't know, it's still, like, enjoyable to watch, and it's a cool sport, but also just knowing the actual fact that young kids are fucking up their brains.
Yeah. That was something that was not really on the forefront as much even, like, 10 years ago.
No. It's really, I feel like, the last 5 years.
Yeah.
When did that one... Well, that one NFL player died when he was, like, what, 28 or something?
There's been a lot.
Yeah, so many people have died. They, like, scanned that dude's brain when he was, like, 26, and he had
looked like an 80-year-old brain.
That's insane.
Yeah. And then they've been doing it, some of them have killed themselves from it, and they've left their brains intact so that it could be examined.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I guess
it's weird.
Noble death.
It's really fucked up because they knew, like, they attribute it to football.
CT. Yeah.
They knew what was fucking them up, and they killed themselves, and then let the data show.
We even show you even talked about yesterday, like, watching football now compared to even just like 3 years ago. It's so different because so much less hitting.
Yeah, or just football now, watching that game there like that, compared to football growing up with hard hits and getting really pumped about those, and now it's almost a lot more strategic in a way where you're trying to elude the other team.
We really, the sport has to evolve, otherwise it just can't exist, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so many people playing, and so many people can get hurt.
Yeah.
And also, like, all along with that too, the fact that athletes now are, like, bigger and stronger than ever before. Like, these motherfuckers get so huge.
That was what was going on. So I think that, honestly, the contact of the sport, probably from its inception to, like, the 70s, 80s, it was hard, maybe, like, up into the 80s. But before that, people weren't building their bodies in the way that they do now.
Yeah.
They didn't have the supplements and the strength training programs
and,
like, commit their entire lives to doing this. And so people are big. You'll hear, like, your parents say it, or, I don't know, grandparents, if you're watching sports with them, like, it's just so much bigger and more athletic and faster, and it's crazy.
There's so much exercise science out. Like, if you want to get big, you kind of can you can analyze your body, someone can work with you, and you can figure out how to get, like, as muscular as you can for that sport.
Yeah, but the thing is, so I think that so there definitely has been some type of long-term long-term impact on the guys that were playing football back in the day, but I think that it probably peaked at a certain point with how big and athletic people were getting and how big the sport was in the media and American perception of it, and just how much money was going into it. There is not as much people looking at the details of just how it's impacting the players health-wise.
Do you think that there should be a limit on, like, it as a high school? I don't know. You can't really limit it as a high school sport, but that's a big factor too, because especially when you're young, people don't know, like, in high school, they don't know how to hit each other properly. Like, I even saw that when I played lacrosse. Like, people don't know how to hit, so they'll just lower their head and fucking run at you.
That's what the coach is there for. You gotta coach you, tell you how to play the game.
That's true. Because there's so many people who play in high school and can just get messed up, and then they won't know it, and that'll have, like, a longer term effect on them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think that I had been saying for a while that football wasn't sustainable on the level that it had grown to, and I don't think it's I haven't looked at any statistics or figures or anything, but I feel like it's probably been making less money in recent years than it had, just with the way that media is being divided up and mass media isn't the thing. The Super Bowl viewerships, I know, have been going down. And
maybe soccer will take over as a sport in America, a major player. I would love that.
That'd be cool.
Soccer's something that, like, worldwide people love.
I think that would be a good inclusive sport.
Yeah. I mean, the women's soccer team's there. I mean, it's something you can rally be. Well, except for all the, like, drama that's gone down with some people on it, but the men's team just needs to get to that point.
Yeah, we got the first home game next weekend here.
First home football game.
Always big at IU.
I wonder if they're going to switch the tailgating situation around a bit, because they used to have all Greek life up by the stadium, where it was, like, kind of the main area, and then they just, last year, they fucking caged them off.
They put
and
them
just
up in their zoo away from everyone else.
They, like, checked their people's IDs when they went in and see if they could drink or not, and then they have to change it, otherwise people won't.
I don't think they're going to change it.
I don't think they will.
Be surprised if they just did that for a year and switched it back.
Yeah. Well, I don't know why they wouldn't just not tailgate in there and just pay and have their own tent for, like,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people did that, but I don't know why they wouldn't do that.
That would be fine if they just went and, like, had their own few setups around in the fields and not call it just their fraternity or sorority.
This is Kyle's.
This
is all
is
about
Kyle's
Kyle.
tailgate
This is
hangout.
Kyle's tailgate. Tailgate. What you drinking there, bud?
Coffee and ginger, man.
This
Watch the
podcast
axe.
is about to be a train wreck, but that's okay.
It's okay.
Everyone has to have their coffee. I drink coffee constantly now. Like, all morning, I'm just constantly drinking coffee. So I just sit there in class and have class all morning and just don't focus. Or if I don't drink, I won't focus.
Read anything good lately this week?
Reading for class a lot. I've been wanting to read the book that I've been reading, or that I've had for a while, but I haven't had time to, which is called, like, Thinking in Systems.
Okay.
Which is cool because it talks about systems in life. You know, everything's kind of part of a system, and just how they all dynamically move, and how you kind of, like, reinforcing feedback loops that can cause the system to go out of loop. So it's
Yep.
it's nice to see hearing that defined a bit, just because like you kind of know it's existent.
It's interesting because I've taken classes on on these subjects and am very familiar with it, but a lot of people just go their day-to-day life and their brain works in a certain way that they've gotten used to, and they don't think about how that actually functions.
Yeah. So, and it's stuff that like I've become aware of through just going to business school, learning about the economy. Like the economy is a huge system, and like you learn all the interlinking parts. But it's also cool seeing just how like I don't know, just hearing it blatantly described a bit too.
Yeah. Well, once you see how certain things work, you kind of want to understand how it fits into a broader thing.
Well, and like once you acknowledge just like reinforcing feedback loops too, like a prime that's it just everywhere in life, you know, and you can start to see it in small instances and then bigger instances too. So that's something book I've wanted to read, but I haven't had time to read.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't even spent as much time reading the news, but I have had to read a lot about the soda industry, beverages, Coke and Pepsi. But that's cool too because just seeing how they're like just like trying to move away from all this sugary soda stuff.
Yeah, I like what Coca-Cola is doing right now. They're expanding so much. I'd like to try some of their crazy drinks that they have all around the world. I wish they were like all here for me to be able to have them. I would try like their alcoholic drinks or stuff like that.
It was cool too because the Wall Street Journal has done like an article series the past like week or so. I don't know if you've noticed, but like Coke and Pepsi have been in a lot more.
Yeah, I did.
They've kind of done piece, and so it coincided with like this is our separate case where we had a deep dive on them, and so seeing this in the news, Coke is really lagging behind. Honestly, Pepsi's been fucking killing it. Because Coke relied on like their Coke is like a majority of their sales and have relied on it for so long. But Pepsi
moved into the whole health food.
Yeah, well they got Gatorade, which was massive, and then they've moved into like a lot of their other stuff, like I think it's Minute Maid and other stuff tend to dominate. And they also have their kind of more snack area.
They're in Pepsi Frito-Lay.
Yeah, together, so. And Quaker. So all that, so they kind of gone first mover on that. But then also like Coke is now, they just acquired that Pepsi acquired that one like carbonated soda place company.
Yeah, they who was it? Didn't they just acquire Costa?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, so they're
like sparkling.
Costa is a coffee place.
No, that's Coke acquired.
Okay, yeah. It was Coke. Gosh, like stories are getting confused in my head. Need to.
Yeah, they just acquired because Pepsi has they partnered with Starbucks, and so all those Frappuccinos in the bottles that you see, they do that with Pepsi does it with Starbucks.
So like Pepsi bottles for them, or
well, Pepsi doesn't do their own bottling. I don't know how it actually what they're offering if they're offering like the actual concentrate.
Is it their distribution or what?
I don't know how it actually breaks down. But
I bet you it's something with the distribution of it.
Probably
using Pepsi's links because Starbucks doesn't have those channels.
Well, in Coke and Pepsi, they for a while they did their own bottling, but the bottling industry isn't really that profitable.
Yeah.
So they moved out of that, and like in America, I think they've acquired some and kind of moved back to owning some, but for the most part, they just own the actual like soda. That's it, and they use someone else to bottle it.
That I've had that Costa place before.
Have you?
It's a UK.
Yeah.
Based. It's fine.
Yeah, well, Coke was like they don't even want to expand the actual like brick and mortar places into the U.S. They just wanted to. They might do like vending machines and maybe like in supermarkets and stuff with it. But.
Yeah, they have a lot of locations though. I was surprised. I think more than 3,000, and they're all around Europe. They have some in China also, I believe.
Yeah.
But there's another company there based in the UK or started there called Pret a Manger.
Fancy.
And they actually just got bought out in May to the company that owns Keurig, Green Mountains, Snapple,
Dr. Pepper,
all those guys. And
they're becoming another big player too.
Yeah, but they only have like 500 or 600 locations,
Yeah.
I believe, mostly in the UK, and then like
Mhm.
I think a couple in New York and a couple in some other big cities around the world. But that place is really good. It's a fast casual. I think that there would be a place for it in the U.S. market.
Fast casual's really taking over.
Yeah, I believe that company also owns Panera, and I could see it's very similar to Panera, but if you're in a more metropolitan area, like a city that you just walk in, stop, and get your food, and so it works perfectly in London and around in Europe. But I could see it really expanding into the U.S., so I think that was probably a good move. I don't know how
Yeah.
it's played out or what they're doing or what plans they have with it, but I like the company.
Yeah. I've been thinking lately about how just fast food places in general, like, well, last night I went to Wendy's, and so it's like, okay, if I go to Wendy's, I'll always get like a 4 for $4 or something because it's
Mhm.
cheap, like stuff off their dollar value menu. And I was also looking, just because I went inside, I was looking at their other stuff. It's like, if I just wanted a normal sandwich, it's gonna be like $5 or $6, and if I
Yeah.
wanted like a value menu, it's gonna be 7 or 8. It's like, okay, why would I spend money on that when I could go to Chipotle? Especially when at Chipotle now, I can download the app and like make and pay my order ahead.
I saw that you can
And then-
do that. Have you done it?
I've only done it once. I should just, because I don't know, I need it ahead of time, but I should do it more often. I mean, it'd be nice if, I mean, most places have apps like that where you can do that, and in that case,
Yeah,
it's
there's you see a lot of pickup windows and things like, or like just pickup.
yeah.
tables
Five
at
Guys has
places.
like a drive-through, but it's only for pickup stuff. But even Chipotle, it's like if you prepay for it and they'll have it ready for you, and it's like, okay, you drive there, you can do it on your way, and then it's basically the same as fast food. So okay, maybe you have to park real quick, or you don't even need to park. Just stop real quick, run inside, run out. You know, it's like it's that
Hey,
fast.
if you got a second person with you,
Yeah.
just sit outside, let them run in. Go
It's
grab
that
it.
fast. And so
That's
it's-
what people do that with Starbucks.
Yeah.
Starbucks was pretty early on that,
Mhm.
having the mobile
Yeah.
pickup areas. And yeah, I've heard of people doing that. Like you have someone else in the car and they just run in
Yeah.
and grab it for you guys.
And it's
going
like
to
that-
work or school or something.
If I'm gonna spend $7 or $8 on food, and it's like the quality difference between that and like a fucking fast food place is huge.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is almost fast food. It's just they branded it as a separate
Yeah.
thing in your mind. It's fast casual.
And I guess I haven't gotten like a $6 sandwich at Wendy's.
I bet you it's of similar quality almost.
Yeah.
In like amount of food that you're eating.
Chipotle is a bad comparison almost, just because Chipotle also gets so much food. Like that's a
Yes.
full meal compared to
Yeah.
getting like a sandwich or something. But, oh. What have you been reading lately?
I mean, I read the news, and I've been reading for classes also. So, I guess just material for advertising, marketing stuff. I was learning about PR a little bit. That I guess really nothing new that I've learned, but you're just kind of going over stuff that you're aware of for classes.
Is PR any different? Like, how recent are your textbooks? Are they pretty new? Because I feel like
They're
it's
from like last year.
yeah, I'd say I'm sure they've changed a lot with social media and everything.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, a lot of those fields are merging together, and the lines are getting pretty clouded.
Well, PR I feel like it's just turning into more like
Well,
brand management.
PR, advertising, marketing, like it's almost interchangeable, and they all have to be coordinated at some level, and it just depends on what you're doing for your company and what your company needs to have done, and you could really categorize it under any or all of those, depending on what you're doing. It's just however you want to cut it up. And reading a little philosophy stuff, was reading some Descartes, rules for the direction of the mind.
How's that?
It makes sense. It's something good to keep in mind.
Well, like what is Descartes is? Who's he?
Rene Descartes, he, I think, was from the, I don't know, 1600s. I'm not sure.
1600s.
Not super educated on it
Yeah.
at the moment. Just kind of
Well, what was that?
delving into it.
What was it about?
Rules for the direction of the mind.
Yeah.
It's how to think.
Which
And-
how do
and
you
it-
think?
like problem solving, critical thinking, figuring things out, and just the ways that you should logically go through your thought process and think it over, keeping track of the chains and being aware of how everything is interrelated in what you've learned or figured out. So keeping a list, or just kind of a tally of what you've got going on and going through it as you're moving forward. And then if maybe another hypothesis might come in, or if you might make a unexpected conclusion, keep track of that in relation to your original chain of thought, and just kind of like that.
Just being able to think, like, have one thought and be like,
being
hey,
able to keep track of your thought
Yeah.
and keep a good direction. I
be like,
guess.
I believe the Earth is round, and it's like, okay, let me keep thinking about. Or that's a bad example, but
Carter and I were Carter's in that class with me too.
Yeah.
So there was Galileo. Had to read. It's talking about an argument for the
Yeah.
Earth being round.
Yeah.
It's just crazy that people had to do that at a certain point.
I feel like driving might be a good example of it in a way, because it's like, okay, I think the fastest way to get from home to work is this route, and so it's like, okay, you might analyze that in your head as you go about it, but then it's like, okay, as you're in the middle of along that process and keeping track of it, it's like, oh, the thought pops in your head, it's like, okay, maybe I should go this way, maybe that way might be faster, and so keeping that in mind, and then maybe the next time you think about it, trying that out and seeing if that works. I don't know, does the book give examples? Or is it just kind of talk about the actual thought process of it?
It's not a book. It's all these. We don't have a book for that class. We're just reading all these guys'.
Well, yeah, they're writings, but in his writings, was he just talking about the explicit process, or was he giving
Yes.
examples too?
So that one is interesting, I guess, because he started it in his early career and was working on it throughout his entire life, and it's incomplete, but they published it after his death, post-mortem, to get it out there.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe it's up to one of us to complete it.
I feel like I want to read that.
Yeah.
How long is it?
It's I don't know, only it's not long at all.
That's
No,
good.
it's like 12 pages.
12 pages.
Yeah.
It takes his whole life to write that. But you said reading that, you knew most of that. Like it was pretty intuitive and like. Or was
I
it?
suppose so.
Yeah.
But it's just very. Some of that stuff can be pretty dense to
Yeah.
go through.
There's so much
And
thought.
if you're
went into each
really
word.
understanding their language, because they use it in a different way than we do,
Yeah.
from hundreds of years ago, and just figuring out what they're talking about. If you can do that and relate it to your brain today, then you kind of understand how it's all logical in that you do these things, but you might do it in a flawed way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that is true. I definitely got that when I read Thinking Fast and Slow, because it was. I mean that just talks about how your brain goes through a process when you're thinking about stuff, and then it literally fucks up, or it's like it initially thinks something, it's like really should be like, no, let me that thought just popped in my head, instead of just blatantly believing that, let me stop and think about that for a second to make sure that's actually true, and not just like my brain making a snap decision, based off initial thought. But it also makes me wonder, like, do you think we can, I don't know, you've read a lot more, like, older, more ancient texts than I have, of philosophers and stuff, but do you think more through the education we've had access to in our lives now, and just also through, like, the evolution of the brain, do you think some of the stuff that we think now, do you think we can intuitively come to those conclusions on our own faster than they did back then?
I think what's different is that now a lot of those ideas are realized through these ancient, or these people from the past, and that the ideas are out there and people know of them. Highly educated people know how this stuff works, I suppose, and that those ideas are here now around us, whereas before they weren't articulated, and it might have been what was happening, or these are processes that humans have, but they weren't explained correctly. And I think now we're just kind of more aware of how it works, because before a lot of this stuff could be explained in almost ridiculous ways.
Well, and especially too, probably just like the scientific method in general.
Yeah.
Like, that is, like, that's how you logically go through, a process.
Yeah.
And since that has been since that's been standardized, it's kind of revolutionized probably in, like, the logical thinking a bit.
The scientific process, I think that's... I don't know who created the scientific process exactly.
I wonder, you think there's a process better?
I don't know. There could be.
That's a fucking wild thought.
I'm sure there's always better ways of going about what we can do.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting that there's just so many ways that you can come to different conclusions.
Yeah, like how people come to different conclusions, like the same conclusion, but the way you came to it could have taken like a short amount of time, or could have taken a lot long. Like the journey to it could have been.
Or something could be explained in a way that makes more sense to one person than it does to another.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
just people learn differently too.
The brain. I love the brain. I love the mind.
Do you think if you eat the brain, you'll get smarter?
Can I try yours?
Carter, get over here.
What?
We're just gonna constantly reference him. I think he is the most referenced person in this podcast. Carter Waldron.
Legend. Is your phone thing broken there?
My phone case? No. This phone case, what is it? It's the Defender. It kind of is, but I mean, it's dirty as fuck, but it's lasted so long. And it's like, it's probably the best case, because I drop my phone so much, and my phone still hasn't really cracked or anything.
Is this the 8? 8S?
This is 7.
Or 7?
7, yeah.
I honestly don't know where phones are at.
I know, like, the difference between the 7 and 8, I can't really tell. But then, I mean, the 10, of course, looks so different.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a new phone here soon.
I think I technically have an upgrade maybe next year or something, but I don't even know if I might just wait and get not an iPhone at that point.
I'm thinking about maybe getting something else.
I feel like giving it 1 or 2 more generations and then they'll be fully caught up. The Google Pixel is really interesting to me, especially because now that I switched away from my MacBook and everything I own is connected through Google. And so having that integrated might be kind of nice.
The only thing that would fuck me up is that I am an Apple Music
Yeah.
user, so that wouldn't be good.
Yeah, Spotify kind of has to exist to a stamp, to a point, because it's like if that went away, okay, what? It's Apple Music, or if you're an Android user, I guess like fucking Pandora or SoundCloud, but
Yeah.
really it's just Spotify. So I wouldn't be surprised if Spotify started saying Android bought it, or Google bought it. I always forget that Google owns all Android stuff. Alphabet owns it, not Google. But because of that, they got those antitrust stuff about them and against them in Europe.
Oh yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Watched anything lately?
I don't have time to watch shit anymore.
Yeah.
I haven't even watched a movie recently. Especially since MoviePass tanked, it's like, do I really want to spend money to go see a movie? That was the nicest 10 months of my life. Being able to pay $10 a month and being able to go see like 5 movies a month off of that was so nice. But like in August, they were like, okay, we're gonna raise it to $14, and you can't go see brand new movies like Mission Impossible, which is like a primetime release. Can't see that during its like most popular show times. Plus, you can only now see 3 movies a month. It's like, okay, you guys are just trying to survive another month because you're out of cash.
Everyone knew that was not going to work out.
But I mean, I knew it wasn't sustainable. It was nice while it lasted.
You took advantage of it.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see, and I hope AMC still rolls out. I probably won't get it while I'm in college, but afterwards I probably will, because like for $20 a month, they basically have, I think, kind of the same deal.
Yep.
And then it's like
there's snack deals and things like that.
Yeah.
Also.
Which that would make it worth it too, because I remember looking into even just like the AMC like Ticket Hub or StubHub member, but you didn't really get much shit for being part of that. But it's like, like AMC's a perfect like that's the thing they should be rolling out, and that's something I feel like will get more people to go back to see movies, because it's like, okay, if I can get
that
some
would get
deals
people
and
very loyal to the brand.
Well, and also too, like, depending on the city you're in, like I know some people who, when they went to AMC's in LA, it was like almost like $20 to go see a movie.
Oh,
but also like those theaters are the nicest theaters,
yeah,
out there.
Assume.
But so then in that case, that like AMC thing is worth it even more.
Yeah, they're pretty expensive in big cities.
Yeah.
I remember seeing like Star Wars in New York on Christmas.
Yeah.
Theater was not that great, but it was expensive AMC.
Yeah, it's like you see there's usually 2 movies a month just worth seeing. They might not, like, one of them will probably be good and the other one will be at least entertaining.
Yeah, it seems like there's something that would usually be interesting to check out.
So I'll probably.
A lot of the times though, it just seems like there's nothing but shit out.
Yeah, recently I haven't been able to go. There's Crazy Rich Asians, which was apparently like really funny, and then I wanted to go see, but I didn't. The Black Klansman. That was Jordan Peele's second. Well, I don't know if he actually directed that one or not, but I think he wrote it, and that had like Adam Driver and someone else in it, and that was supposed to be funny. I don't know. I think there's a couple. 8th Grade was hilarious. Bo Burnham's. That was so funny. He did like such a good, realistic job of like reminding me of what 8th grade was like. Especially with like the cinematography and the sound, because like, I don't know, like a good example of like, she was like in 8th grade about to go to like a swim party, and like the music got like really silent and like intense and shit. She was walking out, and like it did a good job of bringing back that like anxiety you felt in 8th grade so much.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That is a time period I think about very seldom.
I know, but it was also just a good realistic reminder, and I liked it. Best movies you've seen. I've been talking to people about that like a lot recently. Like this year, best movies I've seen this year. It's hard to think of. I've seen a lot.
Was this year.
Yeah, Isle of Dogs was
big
great.
fan of that.
Annihilation is the first one that always pops in my mind.
That was good.
That was a great movie.
I'm trying to think of what else is coming out this year though.
Mission Impossible was actually really good.
Did not see it.
For like a big budget movie, I was like, feel like for most big budget movies, they just end up wasting it on like, but
Things that don't make
yeah,
sense.
things that don't make sense or like, but this one it was like, they just like had so much money to go to like fucking beautiful places, and then shout out to like the cinematographer is the same person who did Annihilation, and in action movies like there have to be so many more different shots in like in a scene or just in a minute compared to like a normal movie. And usually it's like because you have to just tell so much. But yeah, there's so many more camera angles. But this one was great because like the cinematographer was so good. Just even though there were so many shots, all the shots were great. I remember just being so impressed and like, wow, this is all like he captured it so well. Even though there had to be so many, like every shot had care in it.
I think that you learning about that probably impacts what you think about movies that you're seeing now in a way. Because I took that class with the media school about design and production, and I definitely saw so much stuff after that I just got so into and really appreciated a lot more.
I really appreciate it makes me pay a lot more attention to who's directing it and who's doing the cinematography because it can. I mean, that's the best thing about movies. Like, even if the plot is okay, like, you can convey so much in just, like, what you choose to show and not show and how you choose to show it. It really changes it.
I just can't really see... The thing with Mission Impossible is I'm sure that it was good in that sense, but I can't see it having any big, good moral takeaways or anything like that that's doing much for as big of an audience that it has.
No, but it reminded me a lot of Burn After Reading This with Brad Pitt. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
Because that one is just like a clusterfuck of a movie, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it even acknowledges it. And Mission Impossible is great because it had like a plot, but it was like kind of loose, and so it wasn't... But they had some really good action scenes, so you could get really good action scenes in it. And, like, again, it was all so well shot and stuff that it, like, you know, you could just really enjoy it.
Yeah,
and you didn't have to follow it.
Just enjoy something.
And also, too, it just embraced the... Because Mission Impossible is a bit absurd at points, and it kind of embraced that with that twist. And also, just, like, it just showed... Like, I don't know, I thought it was just great, too, because it's, like, it is kind of absurd, like... It embraced the absurdities of if that was really happening. Like, you know, the world is about to end, and he, like, ran into his, like, ex-wife at one point or something because, like, she was, like, right near the bomb site. So he, of course, like, had to... he had to stop and talk to her for a second, and he was, like... You know, like, but he also didn't want to, like, alarm her. So he was like, hey, I think you should really get out of here. And he talked for, like 30 seconds. And he's like, I gotta go. And he just starts, like, sprinting. And, like, another... Like, he just... Or, too, there's another one where he's, like, chasing a guy. And it just, like, cuts between, like, this dude who's, like, has this briefcase that Tom Cruise is trying to get back. And so he's, like, walking, through, like, across a bridge or something. And Tom Cruise is, like, fucking mile behind him. And he's just, like... jumping over rooftops, like sprinting as fast as he can, like just dripping in sweat.
It's just not even believable.
Yeah.
It's probably like a 53-year-old man.
Yeah.
At least.
Oh, but it was yeah. And it was a 2.5-hour movie, and it kept you engaged the whole time, which is always hard to do. I was surprised because you go to those and you expect it to be like entertaining.
Like most action ones are usually not that long. I guess some of the Mission Impossible ones are a little longer, I think. I haven't seen anything past that one in Dubai.
Yeah.
Ghost Protocol one.
Yeah, I saw that one, and that was probably the last one I saw.
Yeah. I think there was another after that.
It was like Fallout or something, I think. Or maybe this one was No, this one was Fallout. And then there was one in between them where it was like Rogue Nation, I think. Yeah, and then Hereditary was great. That was a good movie.
One movie I was really wanting to see but did not was The Quiet Place. I heard a lot of...
That was a good movie.
About that.
Yeah. Shout out to John Krasinski for that one. I'll probably
see it at some point, so don't do any spoilers.
No, I won't, but it really truly is like a silent film, and it's only like an hour and 40 minutes, hour and a half, and so it really engaged, like...
Seems like it really can put you into the vibe.
Yeah, it was a good movie. You know, it kept tension really well throughout the whole thing, and it still had like kind of a good meaning to, you know, like there was a good kind of base storyline. Like, this isn't giving away, but just like a family, you know, going throughout it, because it's this family dealing in this kind of
you can see that there's some morals or something that's coming out of it, I'm sure.
And just kind of that connection and that tie, and, you know, holding that together even when things go to shit.
That's always a good way to have a character progression too, is if you have a built relationship that people understand, like a family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that was cool. And I love like, you know, sometimes press releases right after movies release can be kind of annoying, but also I think they can be cool if you're like really like, that one was cool just because, like, I mean, I like John Krasinski, and
how can you not?
Yeah.
That's a charming fella.
He's a charming, just a good guy, like a happy dude. But also, he wrote and directed that, and like Emily Blunt's his wife too. So like, just hearing their conversation about working together and stuff, and kind of the story behind the film was really cool. Yeah, I really like that movie. Solid film.
Do you know anything that's supposed to be coming out this fall here?
I haven't.
There's always a few good horror movies, I feel like.
There's like a Michael Myers one, I think that's coming out. Some Chance the Rapper's gonna be, Chance the Rapper's gonna be in one kind of like horror comedy one. It also stars the dude from Stranger Things with the hair, you know, the big like what was his name? In Stranger Things. He dated the girl. He dated the girl. He was like a teenager. He was kind of an asshole in the first one. Yeah. Steve. Yes, thank you, Steve. Steve's in it too. Also, Deadpool 2. I saw that. That was funnier than the first one.
I never saw the first.
But the girl, there's a superhero in that who's like always lucky, and she did a good job in that. But she's in this one too. That looked interesting. It's about like a haunted pizza place or something. I don't know. But it had like a kind of stacked cast, so I was interested. There's another one called... I'm just gonna bring up a list on my phone, but it had... Who's the dude from Mad Men, the main guy?
Oh, John Hamm.
It had John Hamm in it. It had Chris Hemsworth, and it had...
Sounds like a bunch of hunks.
It had someone else in it, and that looked good.
Kahlua is so sweet. It's like candy.
Yeah. Delicious. Shit. Can't think of the name of it. Well, just Google a movie with all three of those people. Oh, Bad Times at the El Royale. That looked, what else? Toy Story 4? What's this? Venom. That one looks interesting.
Is that Spider-Man?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's like the Black Spider-Man. But I don't think it's part of the whole Marvel one, because it's like Chris Harding. I don't know.
Well, it has to be a Marvel.
Yeah. Halloween. The Nun. Oh, I want to see Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, yeah.
That looks good.
I'm definitely into seeing that.
What else? I don't know. I can't wait for the new... I think it's like 2019 or 2020, but the new Tarantino movie. I think they're just filming for it right now, though.
Nice.
But that's that's Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio, I think, in it.
Big fan of his movies.
So good.
Big fan. He gets a lot of shit.
Does he get a lot of shit?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, they're like
for violence.
They're edgy, but they're still like I feel like you can't deny it. They're just good movies.
People do. Yeah, he's gotten a whole lot of hate from big media, from big news corporations, a lot of like parental groups, organizations, things like that, just about the violence and saying how that affects people and kids. And
but it's like
he takes it in a great way.
Yeah.
If you ever read any or listen to any interviews of his, he knows what he's doing and he's doing it right.
I feel like parental groups, that's just dumb as fuck because it's like they're rated R, you know?
Yeah.
It's not even like they're marketed towards kids.
Yeah. And a lot of people say, like, yeah, that went on too long, but it really does the job in giving you the feeling that he's trying to portray.
Mm-hmm.
So I love what he does.
Me too. Alright, 45 minutes.
Keep rapping, or do you know the word, you know that phrase, like, let's rap?
Yeah.
It's saying, it's like short for the word rhapsodize.
Rhapsodize?
Yeah, which means to talk about someone or something with like a lot of energy. So let's rap.
Let's rap about this shit.
Rhapsodize.
Rhapsodize.
Cool word.
Word of the day. Rhapsodize, everyone. This episode is sponsored by Rhapsodize and Kahlua. Rhapsodize some Kahlua with your friends.
And also, this would be a good time, as we're talking about the sponsors, to talk about the great Campside Fire Ale from Upland Brewery.
Upland Brewery. If you haven't had it, drive to Bloomington, Indiana and try it. Because, hey, when you're stoking around and wrapping around a fire, there's nothing else to improve the mood like a nice, solid campfire ale. They're infused with buttery nuggets of sweetness that really tickle your taste buds and provide a bodacious, beautiful, bountiful brew that fills your whole heart.
Upland Brewery.
Upland Brewery. Thank you all for joining us. Kumbaya.
All right. Catch you guys later.
Here's your juice.